Yo. Okay, so normally we do this big intro thing. I don't want to do that right now. I just
Fucking
want
give
to
it to me.
get into this shit. Okay, welcome, Soul. You're new to the program. So good to
Hello.
see you. I hope you have a good time. I'm gonna also pull all the stuff we do at the end to the very beginning. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, all that fun stuff. Okay, where do we begin? Because I don't know.
Throw it over,
bit?
baby.
What's
I got this
Colin's
shit.
bit?
I've been waiting for this moment all day. I've been ready to throw this bitch into a minute, and y'all are gonna love it, and it's gonna be the best minute of your day that didn't take place watching.
I'm
this.
ready.
Okay.
All right, Colin, your time starts now.
Okay, so we start with the Marshal of Boss. Pelgo is back. Timothy Oliphant is back. He gets rid of the fucking pikes and sends them off, kicks over some spice, and boom, we cut. We're over at the fucking Jedi Temple with Luke and Grogu and Ahsoka and Mandalorian, and it's awesome, and androids, and it's so cool. Ahsoka's like, here, I'll take that armor stuff. It's actually armor. It's not chain. And she's like, I'll give it to Grogu. He can't see you. Mando's like, oh, I'm sad. And bye. Jedi training. Grogu flipping. Order 66 flashback. Insane stuff. Luke has doubts that his heart is in this. Okay. We go and get the sheriff. And all of a sudden, he's like, no, actually, I'm going to help you guys out. Right as soon as he's like, I'm going to help you guys out, guess who shows up? Cad fucking Bane shows up. It's fucking insane. And then he doesn't kill him. He kills the deputy. We cut over, and Grogu's like, I don't know if I want this lightsaber. That's actually Yoda's. Holy shit, it's Yoda's lightsaber. Or do I want the male cut on face?
He missed a couple things in there, but I'll give him
Just a
pass.
few.
No, that was
Just a
impressive.
few.
That was impressive.
Did I not cover basically
I mean,
everything? It was
there
pretty
was
good.
a lot.
You missed
Colin, I'm
Garza-
proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Garza being bombed, and how they decide to get our marshal. But otherwise, yeah, good job.
Those
All
sneaky
I
bites.
gotta say is,
Boba Fett. We're just watching.
ignite the green, motherfuckers! Yes.
USA scored while I was doing that. I submitted.
Yes!
Oh wow!
Who scored? Who scored,
Hell
Colin?
yeah!
3. I don't know who that is. Okay, guys, Star Wars, go.
Okay.
Holy shit.
All right, well done, Colin. Well done. So here's where I know I said beginning. I don't know where I want to start. Here's where I want to start, right? And me and Sol were talking about this before we started recording. But if you would have told me in 2011, 2012, right in kind of the prime of Clone Wars, that Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker were going to have a conversation about Anakin in live action, I would have told you to go take a hike, because that's impossible. That will never happen in a million jillion years. That happened like a few hours ago. Like, that actually happened on my television right there. Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker had a conversation. They know who each other are, right? We haven't seen the origin of that relationship yet, and I'm sure we will at some point. But I want to start here, guys. How did you react to seeing Ahsoka and Luke, like, straight up, like, be on screen together? Like, because I still cannot get over that. So we'll start with you.
It was a smile on my face. So I watched this episode at work, and I'm sure if anyone at work was looking over me, they'd be like, so
Oh, no.
why are you beaming, like smiling like so? And it's just like, you
So
guys
it's
don't
11 o'clock
understand.
on a Wednesday. Put a frown on your face.
Exactly, right? But man, seeing those two together, seeing You're Like Your Father, hearing them talk about Anakin, because like, yo, I'm a child of the prequels. I love them prequels. And so I love Anakin's story, and I love the Clone Wars. So just seeing them two together, like there, and be like, we gotta see this origin. Come on, Mandalorian season 3, show us this origin.
Show.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the Ahsoka show would be a good opportunity to, in a flashback scene or something, show exactly how Ahsoka finds out that Luke exists and how Luke finds out that Ahsoka exists, right? I think that's a very important moment that we need to see. Ahsoka finding out, like, oh my God, like my master redeemed himself and he had a child, and now that's basically like my nephew, right? Like that's awesome to me. I love how Luke, just a few years ago just lost his father. He finally gets his father back and then immediately loses him, but now he has like an aunt to look up to, right? Like that's awesome to me. And there's so much to cover in this episode, and I don't want to break down every little itty bitty thing. I just really want to start here because this scene, out of all of the craziness that we saw, meant the most to me. So Colin, I know you're watching soccer, but how did you feel about that moment?
Like I had, if the issues you have with something are this, I'm in a great place. She just didn't say Master Skywalker, and I would have melted. She said Master Luke, and that was fine. And everything in this moment is perfection. And we were talking, I believe, a few weeks ago about Rosario Dawson's appearance as
last week. It was last week.
It was last week. Sorry. And you know how much shit's happened between now and then? I've spent the last 5 days on the couch with a COVID positive girlfriend. Like, I've just been sleeping on the couch. I don't know what today is. What does Big Sean say? I've been sleeping. I've been working 8 days a week. I don't even know what the fuck today is. That's how I when Ahsoka is out of focus, I see her.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she's in the background to Mando in the super foreground, when he's looking up at Grogu, that is her. And then she did this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, whoa.
She's got the mannerisms down.
So little. And then she kept doing it. And when she walks up to Luke, she's like this. And I'm like, oh shit, she's in a frame with Luke. And I couldn't process it the first time. And then when I watched it in the morning with Guy, I was like, whoa, like they did it. Dave Filoni is officially just on his bullshit all the time. He is here. He is the ultimate storyteller for this. He understands exactly what we want on the larger scale, and he's going to bring in a deep story that's going to actually draw people in. I had to tell people in the group chat today, like, if you were going to watch The Mandalorian Season 3 and you weren't watching Boba Fett, now's the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This is now required viewing.
Yeah, Chris last week, he heard about what was going on. He's like, well, I guess I'm going to start it. And Chris binge-watched living hell out of it. And he's like, yeah. Woke up this morning. He's like, yeah, watch it ASAP. Twitter's already out there spoiling everything. Go, go, go.
No, and speaking of that as a train goes by somewhere.
Was that Dom Toretto? Is he back on?
It's Dom Toretto.
Yes!
Colin knows. I live in Miami and I live on a main road, so you're just gonna hear cars. I mean, I got a newer mic though.
It's a good quality mic. Well done.
Yeah, but you can still hear the cars sometimes. Dom's out there just yelling family.
Okay, but no, speaking of what you just said about Chris, feeling like he had to watch Book of Boba Fett because he was a fan of Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. I've seen a lot of complaints in just annoying people on social media today talking about how this is no longer the Book of Boba Fett, like this is no longer about his character, like he hasn't done anything in 2 episodes, this is becoming Mando Season 3. I understand to a point what you're trying to say. Like if you went into the Book of Boba Fett like, oh, I'm a casual Star Wars fan. I want to watch a show just about Boba Fett. Like, let's go. And then episode 5, you have a brand new character you've never seen before. And then episode 6, Boba Fett's in it for like 3 seconds. And like, why is Luke Skywalker there? Who's that little kid? Like, you know what I mean? So I understand, maybe being upset about that. But I've pretty much determined, I think most people have as well, that everything they're doing on Disney Plus, all of these stories they're telling, these are not for your casual Star Wars fans. Like, these are for us. Right? That's why they're throwing Cad Bane in there. They don't need to explain who Cad Bane is because we already know who Cad Bane is, right?
They do got to quit lying about saying who's show running these things, though. They got to quit with that. That is cap, as the kids say. Robert Rodriguez is not running this fucking show.
He was running the first 4. I think the first 4 episodes was Robert Rodriguez. Yeah. Like, this is my vision. John Favreau, the one writing it.
And then Dave walked in and was
John and Dave took the wheel and was like, hours. Like, we're going back over here.
It was like in the Cat in the Hat where the second wheel pops up in the car. And Mike Myers is like, screw it, let the 12-year-old drive.
Hold on. Before y'all get carried away, I want to make an addendum to what Toby said, because ultimately what you have to add in there is they're running a business. Because for some people, this is how they're introducing their family, their young kids to Star Wars, everything. So how do you get people interested in the older stuff? By putting these old characters people care about in the newer stuff. So, Dad, who's that character? My parents... Right before I watched the Cad Bane scene with them because they were watching the episode, and then I jetted up here, and they're like, wait, you're just gonna we don't know who the hell this guy is, and you're gonna jet upstairs, and I'm like, yep, I'll talk to you in about an hour.
Yep.
But it's the idea is to introduce something new to newer fans that's old to some of us older fans that we love, because you want these other people and these new fans to go back and watch this stuff.
And to double piggyback on that, you are now in a position for the first time where the children who were children, and I was still a child by legal standards, but like the children watching Clone Wars, who are now going into
we were 12 and
college.
11.
These
We were
kids
12
are
and
going-
11.
Hold on. These kids are going into college now, and they're watching The Mandalorian at college, and they're like, "The fucking Cad Bane!" Like
Right.
the thing from when they were 5 is now coming into Star
Right.
Wars, and that has to be set. Like this is now being the thing where your parents' generation, who know Boba Fett, like our parents'
And Luke,
generation, who
yeah.
know Boba Fett, are now in a show where they're like, "Oh, the kids got some shit in this too that they're going to educate us on." I thought we were going to educate them during this show because it was the Boba Fett show, but it's also like we are no longer, we cannot sit here, and I said this last week, this is all going to be one giant steelbook box set. If you take time out of your day to be concerned about what the name of this show is and what the contents of this show must be to satisfy the name of the show and your expectations, fuck off.
Yeah,
And to
Like,
go back
you are
to the
not
name-
having fun. This is supposed to be
Are you
fun.
targeting that at Jacob
Yeah.
London, who I love?
No, I'm not
I was
talking that
gonna
at you.
say-
I'm saying it's like,
I was just about to say,
3:30
there was a
a.m.
lot of people in
No,
our
dude, I was
sphere
up at
today,
3,
Colin,
that
who were
was
just like,
everybody. It's not any one person. It's all the people who were up at 4 o'clock as I was doom scrolling Twitter, waiting for more people to finish. I was running out of tweets. Like I think the longest I had to wait for somebody to post a tweet was like 2 minutes, and it was the longest 2 minutes of my life. And you're sitting there, and it's just all the same thing. Wow, Book of Boba Fett, more like Book of Boba Fraud. And I'm like, come on, like who cares?
I think you need to look too at the title and look at the name book.
yes.
And a lot of people who are complaining
Smart.
about this aren't avid readers. I'm an avid reader. And a lot of times you have chapters that are not on the main character.
Mhm.
So
the
you have
inheritance
chapters.
cycle is a beautiful argument for that, because the main character is Aragon. There were chapters where you're focusing on Arya, you were focusing on his cousin Rowan. Like,
Yeah.
just
Who
saying.
is the most obscure character that I forget? There was a very obscure character that got a chapter story to themselves in Game of Thrones, and it wasn't one of the main characters. It just comes in very like out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, you know what? It really reminds me. It was like Aragorn, not Lord of the Rings, but Aragorn, because they kind of did the same thing where they would swap back and forth between the character positions. But this, we just didn't know. And I think that's kind of the thing that people were kind of upset about, was they did such a good job hiding what the show was going to end up being, except for David Klein. I got to call that mofo out, okay? Because he went on Kevin Smith's podcast after episode 2, and he was like, yeah, you know, Loki in his office at the freaking volume, just in his office, doing a podcast talking about the show that he just made. And he said, you better wait for 5, 6, and 7. And he wasn't lying. They knew. Like, he knew. They knew that this was going to be some different shit. He didn't say, you know, episode 2's an emotional banger. He was like, you better wait for 5, 6, and 7.
And I feel too that even in these last 2 episodes, we still got a forward story of Boba Fett.
Exactly.
You have Fennec Shan show up at the end of the last episode. You're getting a forward story of Boba Fett without him even being there. You're still getting forward with Boba Fett here in this episode for him just being in it for so little. And that really harkens back to the original trilogy. Boba Fett was not in
That's what I'm
the original trilogy for that long, and yet he was so popular. You can push his story so much along without him having to be there. That's how powerful this character is.
And I feel like these last couple episodes has really just been kind of setting the chessboard, right? Like we got the book of Boba Fett in the first 4 chapters, right? We got his story kind of told finally after all these years. How did he survive the Sarlacc pit? What was he doing hanging around with a bunch of Tusken Raiders? Like we got that story and we got it concluded when he met back up with Fennec and got his shit back, right? And obviously took the throne. That got wrapped up. They've been slowly telling this gangster story in the present day, right? Building that story out, setting the characters. And it's like, oh, we need muscle. Of course, they're going to bring in Din Djarin, but we also have to catch up with him because we spent 2 seasons with him, and it's been over a year since we've seen what he's been up to. So we have to catch up on what he's been up to, and then obviously the star of all of this, Grogu, we have to know what he's been doing too. And so of course you're going to get Luke Skywalker stuff, Ahsoka stuff. Like, we're setting this chessboard slowly until we get to the big war that's probably going to be next week. And I imagine next week we'll probably be pushing.
You think that shit's happening next week?
No, he's just talking about like the
the Pikes.
With the Pikes, like the
Oh,
Pikes.
hell no.
The Pikes
no. I think that's going to be season 2. I think
that's
this
happening next week.
Oh,
Hell
Okay.
no.
It's happening next
I think the
Interesting.
start.
Ain't no
I think
war's
the
gonna take
start
place in
of
one
the war
episode.
is starting next week. The war might extend into season 2 or other shows, but I think the start of the war will be, especially since they
It's
blew
good.
up.
I have my money on the entire episode.
I just
being
don't
a
like,
war.
but we don't really have a face for the Pikes besides Cad Bane. So
That's why they
like,
introduced him.
Hey,
right,
hey,
but if you get rid of their
Colin,
muscle, they
Colin,
get more muscle.
hear me out. The war loses, or the Pikes lose the war, and similar to how Mandalorian season 1 ended with that Darksaber reveal.
Give me a Kira reveal. That's fine.
exactly. That's exactly where I was
Okay,
going.
that's fine.
So
So the war isn't over. The war is only just begun.
the battle is over. The war has just begun. There's a battle.
The Battle of Helm's Deep is over. The war for Middle Earth has just begun.
It's so funny you mentioned that. I finally, believe it or not, I've been a diehard Lord of the Rings fan my whole life. I finally sat down and started to watch the extended edition. I had never watched them before, and that's what I've been doing the past like 3 or 4 days. And oh my god, like I did not realize how much extra stuff there was. Like I didn't know.
Dude, there's literally no scene better than Merry and Pippin getting
weed.
absolutely toked out of their mind.
Right.
And then by the time everyone shows up in Return of the King, like Gimli looks up like, what y'all got? Like it's one of the greatest looks in the whole series.
It's added so much more context to some of my favorite scenes. And this isn't a Lord of the Rings show, but I just wanted to say, like, I've been watching that this week and like mind blown. Very, very happy with
I
it.
had a thought that randomly popped up about I can fix your problems, people, but I can't do it right now because they've already happened. Here's how this should have gone. Disney, feel free to use this in the future.
If you're
Give me
listening,
all the
Don't
Boba
say
Fett
that.
stuff.
Don't say that.
Give me all the Boba Fett stuff as a show, 5 episodes, including Din just coming in and inserting himself in that scene we just saw, where he walks into the room and Finnick says, "This is the Mandalorian Din Djarin." That is where we are introduced to Din. Insert rest of the season. Everything from last week's episode to Grogu choosing between the lightsaber and the mithril chainmail should have been a Doctor Who like holiday special released on May 4th in lead up to the next season.
We can't.
Well, what
say
if
that because
Grogu
we
is in the
don't
next
know how it
episode?
ties into the next episode.
yeah.
So you
What
can
if
say
Grogu's
that
in the next
now,
episode?
but
Well, I'm just gonna eat crow now. I know last week I said very like confidently that Mando and Grogu's meeting was gonna happen off screen.
same.
And it ended up
We all
being
did.
the whole freaking episode was Luke and Grogu training. And I mean, they didn't meet up, so I guess I technically wasn't 100% wrong. But my point is that we ended up seeing Grogu for 90% of this episode when I didn't think we were going to see him at all. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Grogu is not going to make his choice next week because I don't know. Like, I have no idea. That could be
So,
something they
Bob-
say for season 3, or they could immediately start the episode with Grogu like picking up the lightsaber or picking up the chainmail, which I'm just going to say it now. And I'm curious how you guys think. He's picking up the chainmail and going with Mando, right?
Okay,
Like,
so
that
Boggs
seems to
has
be
a
where they're
very
going.
hardcore version of what's going to happen here.
Oh, you think he's picking up the
Hold on,
saber?
hold on, hold on.
Interesting.
So he picks up the chainmail. Luke takes him back, but Mando is the one who has to tell Grogu that this is your way. That you have to be the one to go be a Jedi. So
No,
that
I don't think
Luke-
Grogu wants to be a Jedi, like at all.
Right,
Like
but
he seems so
thinks
disinterested
he's
in
still
it.
attached to Mando, and he needs to hear Mando say it again. afterwards. Like that one time wasn't enough. You can't just like say bye. You know, you gotta have breakup, whatever. You know, you gotta have another talk afterwards. Grogu's like, I need one more talk with my dad before I'm like, no, we can't be family anymore. And so when that happens, Din is going to be the one that pushes him to Luke. Or this is how we find out that Grogu isn't killed by Kylo Ren, and he goes with Din. Insert season 3 of The Mandalorian.
I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure it's been said that Ben Solo was Luke's first Padawan. So technically Grogu couldn't be.
I mean, you can get around that because
Yeah.
Leia was technically his first because he trained Leia immediately after
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi. So you can get around
No,
that.
No.
But-
First in his school, like that was just him training his sister. Like in his school, actually taking the time to reform the Jedi.
Mhm.
Ben Solo was the first student, and we know that. So,
Shout out to the androids too.
real
Those
quick,
are sick.
real quick,
Building that.
nice little retcon involving the saber. Because for those people who don't know, this got tossed into like a fucking furnace in the second Vader series.
Mhm.
So,
I'm glad you pointed that out because I totally forgot about it. And that's fine. Like I'm totally
yeah, it's
okay
a
with these
small
little
retcon. I'm
retcons
totally
here and
cool
there.
with.
But Saul, what do you think? Do you think he's gonna pick up the saber or is he gonna go back with Mando?
I really don't know. Part of me wants to go with he's going to pick up the chainmail because he misses Mando and that's how he doesn't die with Kylo Ren. But I could see him picking up the lightsaber and then like regretting it and then
Mhm.
regressing back and going, no, I'm going to choose Mando. So I could see him like being tempted to pick up that lightsaber, learns a little bit more and was just like, nah, this is not for me. Kind of go the way of Ahsoka, not being a Jedi, but still having the Force and being able to wield a lightsaber kind of thing.
Well, this is Ahsoka the Gray.
Right.
Who we need is Ahsoka the White.
No,
Hard.
the reason
It's so hard, guys. It's so hard.
no, and Dave has been very
They
Dave
take
has
over
been
your
very
brain.
vocal about Ahsoka being Gandalf. Like he sees Ahsoka in her older years as a Gandalf type character, you know, just kind of leading people on their journey, right? And we assume in her own show she's going to be, you know, the focal point trying to find Ezra, but in this case she's not like directly involved with Luke's school, but she's like present, and that makes me happy that
She's
she
an
like
adjunct professor.
is there helping establish it kind of sort of, but
Yeah, she shows
And
up
her
for
line of
how to
he
coolly
does-
jump off a spaceship
Yeah.
class.
and her line of he didn't want me to train him kind of thing.
mhm.
Where we don't hear that in Mandalorian. So I kind of want to go in there where Grogu was probably going, I don't want to be trained, and was that conversation or mind meld or whatever
Mhm.
that he had with Ahsoka. So I wonder if he's going, no, I don't want to be trained by anyone because I got my dad that I need to go back to.
Right.
And so we didn't get a complete flashback either, right? So
Right. Who
We saw
saved him?
three
and Luke
Jedis
does the
die.
whole thing of like, do you know Yoda? Which then now I'm just sitting here like, are y'all really fronting? Are y'all gonna tell me I'm gonna get some like flashback of like Yoda being like, like he's gonna like.
So I read something today, or I saw it on social media, and it blew my mind. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen this yet, but in the flashback of Order 66, which we might as well just say it now, we're gonna get an Order 66 flashback in every single show. That's just the way it is now. And that's fine, I guess. But in the flashback, you can see a little banner hanging.
Stop it.
There's a little banner hanging. You can barely see it, right? And someone got a screenshot of that banner, and apparently, this is the exact same banner that was hanging in Barriss Offee's room in the Clone Wars. So I don't know if they're trying to insinuate that Barriss Offee, of all people, is the person who saved Grogu, but I don't imagine that they put that there for no reason. Like that was there
Okay,
for
so-
diehards to catch and try to put the pieces together. But how? She's like rotting in a jail cell, and she's also a piece of shit person. Why would she come and save Grogu unless it's just like completely random that's
No,
there?
so you're okay. Ready?
Yes.
Insert scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, where Jack Sparrow is sitting in jail, and then the Black Pearl starts shooting on the town, and then boom, a wall blows up at the prison, and then some of them get out, but Jack Sparrow does not. And then we'll see some other awesome people in that jail cell, and then she'll be there in a flashback and get out, and then see the troopers and be like, well, they're still going to try to kill me because I look like me and I'm not one of them.
Mhm.
And let me grab this cute child and run. And it'll be kind of like her emotional arc. That would be sick. That's, man, if that's like the C story of Ahsoka, like the C story, holy shit.
I mean, because we still don't know what happens to her, like, at all. Like, we
Mhm.
don't know her fate. So bringing her in this way is very interesting. Like, we've been waiting to see, is she an Inquisitor, right? Does she become a Sith? Does she
chill.
go into exile? Like, how does her and Ahsoka, like, do they mend their relationship somehow? Like, if she's the one that saves Grogu and that's her connection to all of this, that's absolutely insane.
Looking in the chat, Brennan has said that he sent in a Streamlab.
Oh, let me go to the stream real
Oh.
quick.
Ooh.
That
Thank
never
you, Brennan.
happened.
That-
Wow. Thank you.
That never
What a
happens on-
I
pal.
was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I was
Brandon,
like,
you're
wait a
going to
minute.
get infinite amount of shout outs now just for that one Streamlab.
Hey, he's the FCL Star Wars champ.
Let's
Yeah,
go,
he is.
Brendan.
Well
That's
done.
my
Gotta
guy.
write trivia questions for him.
Still tied.
I'm logging in right now. All right.
Okay, let's all filibuster while.
Okay,
while
so
Matt-
I got it.
Matt
I got
plays.
it up.
So many thoughts.
I got it
about,
up.
like all the people who were like standing. This was Captain Rex week.
Yeah,
just felt
man. I
so
still want to see my
sad.
guy,
I said,
but
Toby, it was you, bro. I was like, look at, but there was like the only chance would have been if it wasn't Ahsoka and it was Rex, and
Mhm.
Rex is like temple security.
All right.
ooh.
You know, like Rex is like just there, and he's like,
All right,
Yeah.
Matthew,
All right.
what we got?
Brendan Marr says this episode was simply incredible. I don't even know where to begin. I love the Western vibe with Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane, and I love seeing the beginning of Luke's Jedi Academy. And Luke looked way better here than in Mando season 2, and that is something I have to agree with because, as someone we all know here has said constantly, they went out and hired the guy who made a video saying I could do better than this with deepfake and did better than it. So.
So just to be clear, this is the guy that deep faked Harrison Ford into all of Solo, right?
No,
Different guy?
I don't.
I think
So-
it's just
I don't know if the same guy did but it was the guy who did the video last year when Luke came out and was
right.
like,
And
I
then
could
he
do
did the
better.
side by side comparison
Yeah.
of this is my version of it and this is your version of it. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they hired him to
Absolutely
Lucasfilm.
insane. Like,
And,
I
like-
cannot believe like the difference. And I'm looking at it. I watch a whole show of that.
My mother thought they just recasted an actress who looked just like Mark Hamill. I'm like, no, that's
I have heard
deepfake
that's not
technology.
the same body guy.
It is not the same body.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Alex
Yeah,
Damon
true.
was spot on that. Alex
Yeah.
Damon pointed that out because he was wrong when he recorded the audio of his review, and then in the text he overlaid who the actual actor's name was because he
Mhm.
used Max Lloyd Webber.
I think it's Weber.
Wasn't the guy who did the body in Mando season 2? He was the
The pilot,
other
right?
pilot.
Mm-hmm.
The other cop,
But yeah,
the guy who apparently wanted to do paperwork.
new body double. That is
Which,
true.
I'm not gonna lie. If that was, could you imagine the dude walks in, the deep fake guy walks into the room and he's like, guys, I hate to tell you, the face doesn't work because you got the wrong actor. And then he's like, we got to recast the actor. And this dude is now sitting in a casting room with all these people. And he's like, ooh, let me see where I can put the dots on your face. Ooh, do they work there? And I'm just like, I'm thinking of all the baffling shit that had to go into this for that kid to be. They were like, hey, sorry, you're no longer
But,
Luke
like,
Skywalker. Want to be a cop?
even like the side profiles, you couldn't
Mhm.
even.
Mhm.
Dude, when he's hopping around like training with Grogu, like you would pause it
my
at like a
heart.
time that's like
Oh.
unclear. Like it's still him.
Like
Like
he's
it's,
unfocused when he's
insane.
doing the lunge with the blade.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
incredible. I
There's-
paused
yeah.
it like
There's
what?
only a few moments when you're like, he could have been better, but I mean, they're
Mhm.
very few and far between.
Very few.
A lot of them tend to have happened when it was like a shot that was shadowed.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But if it was just
Quit
like
putting him under trees.
yeah,
Don't
But
put
if-
that boy
No,
under
no
trees.
shadows for him. No shadows.
See, that's what I
But,
think they got
Grogu
wrong.
hopping around. Can we just talk about how like happy
Oh
my
yes,
heart was?
yes. We have to.
One, they all broke our hearts when they started it because they shoot him with the probe with the trigger.
Right?
Right.
And you're like, don't fucking put a finger on that kid. Like, do not harm that
I
child.
laughed.
And then boom, he remembered
And-
everything.
And then him destroying it, and then like, good job. I thought like for a second I thought he was gonna be like, oh shit, like the kid just destroyed the thing.
I wonder if Grogu's been like, so I gotta come clean. I force choked the fuck out of some stormtroopers, like
And Cara
Yes.
Dune.
And
Is that
Cara
a
Dune.
big deal? Like,
Although I don't think anyone's
do I
upset
need to
about the
come
Cara
repent
Dune one
for
anymore.
that in Jedi Temple? Like, do I need to come like say I'm sorry because that like just happened?
Right. Like actual people, not like droids.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you.
Like this was not like you. Yeah. Like you just like smashed up some droids. Like 5 minutes before that, I was choking people. So I just need to
Right.
know who you're working with here. And now I'm doing flips like a freaking cat, like going around doing
Like Yoda in episode 2.
Oh, yes, literally is doing Yoda. He's doing this.
Can we talk? And here, I got to bring this up because people have been saying we're shrinking the galaxy with all this stuff, and I'm like, that's not a thing. Like, it's not a thing, especially when you're working within a certain timeline. We know what part of the timeline we're in. We know what characters exist for the most part. Cad Bane we didn't know about. But for the most part, we know what characters exist during this timeline. Just because you introduce a old but new character to live action doesn't mean you're shrinking the universe.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at all the new characters we have. We have now the Mandalorian Din Djarin. Like
Fennec Shan's like 18
Fennec
months old.
Shan.
Yeah.
Like these two characters, you're obviously like it's expanding. Look at what they did with Omega. We learned some more stuff about cloning and that there's a female clone, and in the Bad Batch. Like, look at how much like things are being expanded in Star Wars already. But you can't just have all new and no old, because if you do that, people are gonna be like, "What's going on?" Is this Star
Exactly.
Wars?
People want to move out of the timeline with the Skywalkers, and I get that to a certain degree, and we're getting there. But it's about right now. It's a mixture of old and new, just to try to rebuild that goodwill that they lost.
Because when the acolyte comes, it's gonna smack y'all across the face.
Exactly.
We got Star Wars anime last year. Star Wars anime. Come on.
Yeah.
Like
That Colin still hasn't finished.
Because he refuses to finish.
No, he's got his reason.
Colin.
Until I see a season 2 coming out, that shit ain't ever gonna end. It'll
It was so
always just
good.
be there.
I'm telling you, my wee part was happy. Your wee part is gonna be so happy, Colin.
I was
So
very happy.
happy.
Like the first 4 episodes brought tears to my eyes.
Yep.
I watched them in sub and dub, and I'm still
Same. And I bought the book, the Ronin book. I haven't started it yet, but I bought it.
waiting for the digital library to come through so I can read that. Because that
Shout out to Libby and Hoopla.
God.
No, Matt brings up a really good point about people complaining about us shrinking the universe, and that's nonsense to me, because like if you watch this episode and your first reaction is they're shrinking the universe, like are you just the most unfun person ever? Like really?
But
like
those people know too much, right, Toby? Like they know too much. This is not shrinking the universe for 85% of people watching the show.
Right. Yeah.
This is expanding the universe for 85% of the show of the viewing public, and we're the lucky few who know literally everything that's going on in every character that pops.
Casual fans don't know who the fuck Cad Bane is.
No, like Matt just said, his parents had no idea who the fuck that was. Like they come on. Y'all gotta chill, because in order to expand the universe, you have to bring in a sense of like home. You have to, in order to expand that, you have to feel comfortable where you are. And they've realized that they did a whole show where a random dude didn't show his face and carried around a baby Yoda that we didn't know, and didn't really run into many people we knew in that first season of The Mandalorian.
Right.
That is a very like new whole experience of quite literally not shrinking the universe, expanding the universe, and putting us in a better understanding of where we end up in the sequel trilogy.
Like they had Pedro Pascal, who that beautiful face, and they covered it for most of the.
That was on set for like 10 minutes of the whole first season, and he got paid like too much money. more than he got paid for
Yeah.
Game of Thrones to show his
He
face
was, yeah.
and voice act. That is incredible shit.
And then he's just like, I want to be in the actual suit in season 2. Like, that's how excited he was. Well, we had Pedro Pascal. Like, that man is a
What
beautiful
percentage
man.
was he sitting on that bench? Was that him?
Right?
Is that bad that I think about that every single time?
Yeah.
Like I'm watching these guys, like they're
Yeah.
there's 3 of them, right? There's
There's
Fighting
3.
Mando, there's Helmet Mando, and then there's Pedro whenever he wants to be there.
Yeah. And the one of them is like just whiz at swords.
Right.
And stuff. Like that's
So
what
that
he
was a
is.
really hard
And the other
thing
one is the
to
shooter
pitch.
guy. So like it depends on what Mando's gonna do. What badassery is he gonna do? Is he gonna be shooting
Did you let
people?
Pedro look like a bitch, like while he's doing the Darksaber thing, or is it the guy who actually knows swords? Where he's like, "You guys aren't going to put me out there and look like a bitch. You can
Right.
make Pedro look like a fool. It's not going to be me."
Pedro, it's your turn.
Yeah, Pedro, come on in, bro. Okay. Take a 5. I'll be in my trailer. Get your ass whooped by this big dude. It's like this is like, how do we live in a world where we just watched a show that had Ahsoka Tano, Luke Skywalker, Cad Bane, Cobb Vanth,
Grogu.
Mandalorian, Grogu, like
People are upset.
like,
Mhm.
and people want to find a way to complain. That's like my biggest thing. Like, just put a smile on your face and put your thumbs down.
Well, Colin, let me tell you something. It's a Star Wars, and people are always going to be upset about a
Mhm.
Star Wars.
It's so unfortunate. Like it really is. Like I wish all of us as fans could just come together for moments like this, right? Like literally everybody just be like throwing their hands up, like, "Oh my god, that was amazing! I can't believe I just watched that." But no, you're always gonna have a little side group that's like, "No, the Book of Boba Fett's a dumb title. He's not
It's a
even in his
vocal
own
minority."
show." It
Yeah.
really is. But
And the people that are upset about these
Like the
2
local
episodes are
minority
the
who hates
same
Last Jedi.
people that were complaining about the first 4 episodes going, this is boring. Like, I don't know. Like, where's the
Yep.
story going to go? I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
same people.
So,
like,
have
what
you
do
been
you
listening
want?
to any of the Ringerverse podcasts since
haven't
Jason
yet.
left? Okay, so they
No.
brought on Van Lathan and some awesome guys to do it, and that was basically Van Lathan, who used to be on TMZ and now he's like a nerd and political commentator on The Ringer, was the champion of, no, this show slaps and you guys are dumb for like pointing out the stupid stuff. And he's kind of just been like my rock in the background of podcast listening, just been like, yes. And then even last week he was like, well, there was no Boba Fett, and I was the one sitting here saying Boba Fett was awesome. So like, can I also not think this is awesome? And I'm like, no, you are allowed to also think this is awesome. You are allowed to think that the first 4 episodes of Boba Fett told an amazing Boba Fett story, and also equally enjoy the last 2 weeks of Star Wars. Like I said it to Guy after we watched that. I don't know if I've ever been more satisfied with 2 hours of straight content of Star Wars
In the last 2 weeks.
ever.
This
I
reminds
don't
me
know
a
if I
lot.
can find 2 straight hours that have as few things to give a fuck about as this. It
reminds me with Legend of Korra, when like, you know how that was coming out and people were like, this show's awful, what's going on? I'm like, wait for the show to end. And then they were like, oh my god, this was amazing. And I was like,
yeah, we
no,
know, we've been here since the first episode, and that's why you fucks are the ones that made us had to watch it on Nickelodeon.com. And they were releasing episodes at the end, not even on TV, and it's the same people. It's
Yeah,
That's why the show got
and it was
canceled and
just
we
like,
didn't get to have that LGBTQ relationship in it.
exactly. And it's just like, wait for the show is not done yet. I've always taken a point of like, I cannot judge a season until I see the finale. Where like, look at Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was loving that show and I did not like the finale of that show. And so with Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was like, that
there's got to be an asterisk there because that show's entire plot changed because of
that
COVID.
show's entire plot changed after January.
Because of COVID. So I was giving it a lot of lack, and I was the one going, you know what, this is really good. They can end this really well. And it was just like the ending. So with me, I was like, this is gotta wait. We gotta wait. So I think with this too, we gotta wait till next season, to next week. And I think next week we're gonna get such a good episode that combines what happened in the first 4 and what happened in these last 2. I think we're gonna get such good stuff. I can't wait.
I think
No,
I
I
found a way to like
100% agree.
rationalize how or why we didn't need Boba Fett in the last 2 episodes. I don't know what else I need to see from him. What do you want? 5 minutes of him riding a Rancor? If
Mhm.
that's it, I don't know like where else this guy has to go aside from where we've seen him in the
Go
first
all
4
right.
episodes. Like, what other personal progression does Boba Fett have in him besides becoming the Daimo?
Or actually biting the bullet.
Yeah, or dying. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else there is, but now there's no way the internet would survive them killing him in the episode after he was out of the last.
Oh, I know.
I just
Yeah.
don't see that happen. If that happens, the internet will be lit asunder with fire. It will never end. That would just be an endless fight that would never be finished.
Yeah, I don't think he's dying next episode.
No,
Like
they literally
Daenerys
just
being
brought
fed.
him back officially, finally in canon. They're not
Right.
going to
Yeah.
kill him in his own show.
I don't
But
think.
still think
I don't.
yeah,
I don't think
And they
so,
brought
but
him
my-
back the Parks and Rec way.
right.
Oh yeah. I mentioned that. I mentioned that a few weeks ago. Straight 100% same way. And a hand reaches out of the Sarlacc. It is Boba Fett. Shot for shot. It was incredible. Incredible.
No,
This
I
show's
still
been great. And if you don't think it is, sorry.
yeah, sorry. Like go watch something else, I guess. Like I don't know what else
Okay.
to say.
I'm
to
watching a
these people.
shit show called Woo Assassins right now, and I'm having fun. You know what? That's a terrible show, but I'm
Yep,
having a
Colin
great time.
thought it
It's a
yesterday.
great
He's
show.
like, it's
And-
horrible, but
It's
loving it."
horrible, but I love
And
it.
there's so much Star Wars out there
This is
that not everything needs to be something you love. If you don't like this, there's other Star Wars to watch. You can be a Star Wars fan that decides, you know what, this show wasn't for me. Let me go watch something else.
Hold on. So
It's perfectly fine.
All 4 of us on screen both know you don't just have to watch Star Wars. You can read the shit. If you don't want to
Right.
be in this current timeline, there's a
Yo, I got my books right there.
There's a fuck ton of books that came out in the High Republic. There's comics in the High Republic. There is stuff where if you don't want to be anywhere near the Skywalkers, pick up a book and read it.
Oh, and you
Right.
don't like how they handled Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi? Well, shut the fuck up and read Heir to the Empire then. Right?
That's
Oh,
what's
you
so
don't like
annoying.
Solo? Read Scoundrels, mofos. Come on.
Well, that's
Like,
what's so annoying to me is that after all of the
act
just
like you don't got an answer to your
hysteria
problems.
of the sequel trilogy, and I don't want this to become one of those conversations, but the fan base was divided with those movies, right?
Mhm.
And I understand there are a dozen reasons why those movies came out the way they are, like them or love them. But it seems like now Disney and Lucasfilm, they got their shit together, right? Like they have a team of
They went to
storytellers.
Dave.
Yeah,
and
they have
John.
they have a team of storytellers who all are thinking the
same
same
page.
way. They all are constantly passing notes
making
to
a
each other. Like
plan.
this is the story. We're planning out what we want to do. Like we finally got our shit together. We're getting it every single week for crying out loud. And you guys are gonna complain? Like get out of here. Like I don't know what else you want. Like what else do you want? Like I want to know. Tell me. What do you want? It's crazy to me.
Yeah,
You know
because
what? And
Dave
the saddest
and
part about this whole fucking thing is if the show wasn't called Book of Boba Fett, we wouldn't be saying a damn thing about it.
right.
And
If this
let's
was
be
Mando
clear.
2.5,
Well, but that's what Favreau said it was.
That's what he.
Favreau-
Yeah, that's
Yeah, there's
literally
no
what
secret.
they fucking said. It was crazy. Like people are not like realizing all of this has been. Or what do they say in the Social Network? They're like, that's not supported in evidence. It's like, oh, we are about to find it
Yeah,
in evidence. Like
people
they
not
have
like-
primary sources saying this.
did people not like Captain America Civil War? Because that was Avengers 2.5.
100%?
Right?
But a whole ass movie. That was
Actually,
not, yeah. There's
I
not, like, a
didn't
whole
like it
lot
because
that
it was
happens in that
Avengers
movie.
2.5.
There's like a point A, and then shit happens, and then people are in jail.
Mhm.
Before we wrap up, is there anything we have not covered?
Cad
There was
fucking
so
Bane.
much.
Let's just go full tilt on this shit.
I mean, we talked about it for a little bit. but yeah.
Hold on. This is my fucking guy. This has been my dude for a long ass time. He is cold as ice. He is the man in black. He is the bad in the good, the bad, the ugly. He is everything you do not want to see staring down the other side of a barrel. And it was perfection.
And that
Everyone
dumbass
who thinks that it's like, oh, you can't bring an animated character in shut the fuck up. They're gonna bring in the vocals. They're gonna bring in the same dude. It's the same guy.
Which, by the way, learned today while looking him up.
I didn't even have to look
he's
it
on
up.
the spectrum.
I heard it. And I was like,
he's on the spectrum, which I thought is cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know this.
He also does the voice of Dooku, and that guy can send his brain to a billion places, and it is absolutely amazing. It's Craig Burton,
Corey Burton.
I think is right. Yeah,
and like just absolutely insane. Whoever got to put on that suit, fuck you. That's all I got, because you are the luckiest dude in the whole world.
Probably
we're gonna paint Colin's face blue for Halloween this year.
No, like a Star Wars Celebration is actually happening. I will paint my body blue and put red contact lenses on and go as like street, like teenage, like 20-year-old Cad Bane. I'll wear like a fancy hat and I'll do the whole thing.
But like, how did they?
His fingers are weird. The fingers were fucking weird. I didn't notice.
Yeah, they're like as Peacemaker said, they're like scepter dicks.
No, like they've come such a long way with like, prosthetics and makeup, but how did the guy breathe? Like, he doesn't have a nose. Like, I don't.
What do you mean? That's why I talked to.
No, he's talking.
I'm talking about the actor in the suit.
There
like,
was probably
hidden
holes.
slits right here on the side where that. Because notice it was like a mound. It wasn't flat like you'd normally see with the Doros. There was somewhat of a mound there.
And you can also take that out, because having just watched the Hogwarts Return to Hogwarts thing where they did Ralph Fiennes talking about Voldemort, where they took his nose
had dots on his face.
So you can do that. Where like I can breathe.
My guess is they wanted to keep it practical though, which I understand.
There was parts of it I believed everything was practical until here. Yeah. There's a digitalness going on. Once he took,
for
I
sure.
think the eyes themselves are digital, but we'll find out when we. We'll find out when we get.
Let's be honest. There's probably like some slits in the. We're not seeing everything from here up.
Yeah, I think that it was practical with just a little bit of digital in there to like get a, because there's probably slits and stuff.
Hey, we will find out when they do the gallery episode on this episode.
Oh god, the gallery for this season is going to be.
Are we gonna get episode per episode? Or are we gonna get?
Hell no! This is gonna be like 45 minutes, and I'm gonna throw a chair out the window.
Right? They're gonna cover Cad Bane for like 2 of it. Like, oh, we brought him back! Yay! Like, no, I want to know everything. Like, I want to know everything.
I wish.
And I know I said this off camera, but that they now named it Freetown to kind of make sure that it was going with the books, because people were like, wait. Wasn't he in Freetown? So they were like, no, we're not gonna.
Yeah, Alex Damon can totally pretend that he was most excited about Cad Bane coming in the show, but it was really when the bartender said Freetown, and he was like, "Whoa!"
That was the mind blow.
That was the mind bending moment where he was like,
"Town being
can I go
renamed."
delete these videos that I made in Mando season 2 because these are now all worthless."
No, and I don't remember which podcast I was listening to because I listened to a bunch of them, but they basically said, like, a character's iconic just by their silhouette. Like, you don't need to see their face.
Oh no!
Like,
when he was far away, I was like, they are.
You
doing
see the
this.
little
He's
edge
the
of the
same.
hat,
I was just
you're
like,
I
no way.
They are no.
I was watching it on my phone.
No.
I literally brought my phone like this close to my face because I was just like, is that what I think it is? Like,
and you
but
know
it's
what?
so true,
really
though.
Gotta say,
my brother.
Have another drink. Mando has one more drink. Like, maybe just prolong that combo like 5 seconds.
It was funny because after I watched this, I was watching Tom and Pammy, or Pammy and Tommy.
Pam and Tommy.
Sorry, Pam and Tommy.
Sorry. For what you told me to watch last night, and your ass fell asleep at the point where I watched a prosthetic penis talk?
Bro! That was
Tommy Lee has a total conversation with his penis mid-show. Absolutely bonkers.
It's ridiculous.
Matt's
this isn't
a
Pam and Tommy.
This is a different show.
This is a
completely different show.
But no, But yeah, I passed it. It's because I ate some chicken nuggets last night. I'm like, this is either gonna send me to sleep or help me stay awake. And I was like, no, your ass is going night night.
He went night night because I was all alone the second that thing came out, and I was like, I don't know what I just watched, but I was not prepared. Like, I was seeing a lot of shit in my life, and that was
but no,
like
it's just
yes.
Yes. I love you, Mike. I love you, Mike. But no, I loved it. I loved what we got a lot. This
I like it a lot.
I'm happy. And probably about 5 minutes. When we're done with this, I'll go downstairs, get water. My family will be like, all right, spill the beans.
Open up Wikipedia on your phone so that way you have your sources.
Because my dad's like, I know there's a Clone Wars character, but I need the information on him. Like,
well, and here's another thing that happened this week that we did not mention. Bad Batch is now required viewing.
Yes.
Because there is going to be a conversation between Fennec Shand and Cad Bane of Cad Bane is not going to feel very comfortable when he looks across the field of battle and he sees the last bitch that whooped his ass. They know people. He's got one loss on his record so far as we know. And Boba's got a score to settle with him too. And there are two people he's going to look across the field and go, oh, and also, hey, Cobb, Cad Bane, don't throw the cop line out. Like, he really tried to throw, like, he works for the Empire. He's a killer. And I was like,
cold-blooded killer.
Like, you're literally, like, you just gotta try to call him a cop to people? Like, come on, don't be doing that shit. He's not that bad. That was a real low blow. You're better than that.
Colin, what will you do if Omega shows up next week? Because Fennec Shand knows her.
If it does, I will lose my fucking mind. If there's a mention, if Cad knows, how's the girl or something, dude can say anything. Oh god, it is so good. And how good are the teeth? I guarantee they look like the same teeth from the dude in Revenge of the Sith on Utapau. That was the closest reference I had, was his little pointy little stacked vampire teeth. That was so good.
Now
I feel like I'm gonna like feel through the force if Omega shows up. I'm gonna feel Colin through the force.
You think it was huge when Rafael Nadal came back from 2 sets down to win the Australian Open at 9:00 in the morning the other night? Like, come on! Like, Omega shows up, I will turn into an Omega atomic bomb.
Hold on, have y'all seen Scary Movie?
Hell yeah!
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Remember when Sydney's finally giving her boyfriend the business?
Yes.
Colin's gonna be the boyfriend if Omega shows up.
That would be me.
But how do they bring in Omega like in a way where we know that it's her without saying that it's her? You know what I mean?
The thing on her
The
forehead.
white hair, the accent.
Just the thing on her forehead, a little Australian accent, put a little Kiwi in her, and wish her best of luck.
Fennec Shand saying something to her?
Yep.
Because Fennec Shand knows who she is.
But like, just look at the amount of time that has passed, right? Like,
right.
Omega would be, Boba's age, and Boba's like put in 50, 55.
What if
she wouldn't, because she's younger than Boba?
To make a Saga reference, for the sake of it being the week that Saga returned to the comics airwaves. What's the name of the girl who was brought out of the sex trade world by the wolf?
Yes.
Starts with a G.
Crap.
But her story in Saga of being pulled out of something terrible and then just falling into a terrible world and like making the most out of her terrible world,
and then becoming a total badass.
Sphinx in Arcane, very similar. I would love to see a story where Omega got in with the wrong crowd and just let life go, and she's a fucking badass bounty hunter and just shows up handling business.
Like, what if, like, because of just a relationship, what if she has a relationship with Fennec Shand? Kind of thing.
Like an auntie. As auntie.
Yeah.
Fan.
See,
auntie
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know if the showrunners of Bad Batch would allow Dave and John to use Omega in a way when they're still telling her story.
Yeah, Dave is the showrunner of Bad Batch.
Dave is the showrunner.
Is he? I thought he just produced it.
No, he's the showrunner of Bad Batch.
Okay. Hold on. Everyone relax. It's okay. My point. I guess my point doesn't matter now. But what I meant was, do they really want to use Omega in a way in such a major show like Book of Boba Fett when they're still telling her story?
No, I
as
feel
she's
like that's a
growing up in
great
Bad Batch?
season 2, very different vibe of a story for Book of Boba Fett, for him to have a relationship with his sister.
Yeah.
For him to have someone to directly empathize with, to look across and say, you did not have a father. I had our father in our life, and you did not have that. And he can empathize with her loss because he later felt that loss. But to be able to at least share with her something of that love, I think would be beautiful. Does it need to happen? No. Would it be great? Yes. Did Dave Filoni make a character called Omega for a whole show just to be an animated character? No, because now Ahsoka is getting her own show, and this is Dave Filoni's world. And it's
Dave
now,
is gonna make every character that he loves a live action.
There's a reason now. Everything has a reason. In any of these stories, Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, Mando, Boba, Ahsoka, all of it. It all is fair game for having a reason to exist. And Dave,
I don't know if it'll be next week. I feel like next week we've got to resolve this Pike situation. I don't know if we're going to be having these mind-blowing cameos next week because that's what this week was for. Like, we got them all. Like, let's go. We're happy. Next week, I really would like this show to go back to the Book of Boba Fett. Boba Fett is the central character. He's the daimyo. This is his situation that he's in. How is he going to get out of it, along with his friends Din and Fennec and and so on. So that's what I hope we see, but I've been wrong about every prediction thus far. So next week, if freaking, I don't know, Jar Jar shows up, it's not going to be surprised.
I think one you got to tie your ship to. And Matt
I personally don't think she's showing up next week, but I was just like, yo, what if she does, though?
Yeah, I mean, she's already on the Disney D. Like, she's already in Secret Wars or Secret Invasion and Secret Wars. God, I can only hope. She's a Secret Invasion. Like, so she's already on it, and just hop on over to the Star Wars.
I will say this ahead of time. I unfortunately will not be on next week, so I'll miss y'all, and I'll talk to you.
Unacceptable.
My Christmas gift with Nick is next week. He got us close to floor for Cavs Spurs. So
y'all got a good
cheapest
team
floor
too.
seats of the season. Way to go, Nick.
This is back when we didn't know if we'd be good or not too.
Oh, that's fair game. Oh yeah. Just enjoy the fucking moment.
Exactly.
Before we wrap up,
we better get pictures. That's all I'm saying. We better get pictures of you being that close to those athletes.
It's close to floor. It's not exactly floor. We're in the lower bowl.
But still pictures.
You hear people talk shit. That's what I want. I want to be so close I can hear everyone talking shit to each other. That's what I want.
Right.
And not a fan talking shit to the players. Fans, shut your fucking mouths and let the players play. And if somebody calls another NBA player boy on the sideline,
dude,
I will lose my fucking mind.
God,
I'm at my
I hate
wits' end
entitled rich fans. I hate them.
Oh my God. Philadelphia. The worst part about it was that dude got kicked out of the game with a black guy. The guy that was with him in the game was black. It was left with a guy who called a dude boy on the hard court. I'm done. All right. Star Wars show.
No, but I was saying when we could hear, like, when there was no fans and we could hear just the shit that they were saying and they had to bleep stuff out on broadcast, like, that's what I want. I want to be that close.
Yeah, that shit was really fucking with my tinnitus. Because knowing the guy who's doing the audio board, he would just yoink down the basket mic and it would take the atmospheric AC air out of the broadcast and my ears would start ringing because it was really atmospherically different when you really yank an audio feed out of something you've been listening to for a while. And I was always ragging about that during the COVID season. I was like, we're never doing that on my broadcast. I was like, never yoink down.
Let's hear them say fuck on TV.
Yeah. We'll get more hits on sports or anything else.
There were so many quiet moments during the COVID season.
Oh yeah. So, Mando, thank you for the last 2 episodes. But Boba, it's your time now. Say something besides 6 words in your own episode of your show next week, or the internet will burn. And it won't be me that lights it. I don't care either way.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to get you guys like official like guesses on will we get a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett? I feel like next week we'll have a better idea if that's the case. But right now, before we know anything, do you think we'll get a season 2?
No.
Colin?
Do I want it? No. Will we get it? Yes.
So
I think I'm gonna be the opposite of Colin. Do I want it? Yes. Do I think we'll get it? No.
yeah, I think I'm with you. I think that this final episode will probably go over an hour, right? I know the last one was like 53.
That was going to be my next question.
I think the next one will be over an hour. It's going to be close to like a little mini film because they got a lot to wrap up here. I think they will wrap up Boba Fett's story. Will we see Boba Fett again? Absolutely. But I don't think it will be in his own show. And that's my final answer. And I've been wrong about everything thus far. So expect a season 2 announcement in about a month.
Before we go, we got to rate it. We've rated every one of these episodes.
Yes.
How do you guys do your rating system?
On any abstract thing from the episode, you have to rate it on a certain scale. And just wait, because whatever you say is exactly
5 Yoda sabers out of 5.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go 9.75. Excuse me, boxes of spice out of 10.
Colin, go.
9.91.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Cad Bane.
Cad Banes out of
out of 10.
Just him grunting.
Yeah, it sounds just like it. You know exactly what I'm doing. Like it's like little grunting. Or his little pipes, whatever. His hat's the fucking baddest thing in the fucking world. I love it. I love it.
And I love the continuity. It's the same hat from Bad Batch. It's the
yes,
smaller
it's not
one.
the same hat. Yeah. Same hat from Bad Batch. He kept it.
Dave and his little details is just
because it's not the same hat from when we first meet him. He has since lost the hat and gotten a different hat. That's one of my favorite Clone Wars arcs is when dude loses his hat. It is hatless for an episode.
Right. And you're like, that's what his head looks like. I think I'm going to go 5 Grogu flips out of 5.
Hey, I like that one. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate your support. Oh, Matt, what I already said.
Mine.
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you say?
I did the 5 Yoda sabers out of 5.
Oh, well, technically that saber doesn't exist, so we'll see how they.
If he ends up not choosing the saber, you have to have a new answer because that's no longer a thing.
It needs to be the chainmail.
Yes.
No, it's still the Yoda
10 androids out of 10.
Oh, yeah, we didn't really talk about. I thought that whole beginning sequence of the them building the temple was like awesome, and I love how Mando's just like looking around like anyone alive here, like actually a real person. Like I love his banter with R2. Like that was awesome.
I guess I'll sit here.
Is
that a bench?
Yeah, and then like you find him laying down.
Like he was there for a minute. 'Cause he's like, I'm gonna take a little nap, and then Ahsoka spooks him awake. But anyway. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate your support as always. Soul, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a delight to have you. I'm sure we will have you on again in the future. Thank you, boys, as always. Matt, screw you since you won't be here next week, but that's fine. That's fine.
I mean, someone was supposed to come to Ohio this weekend, but a fucking snowstorm's screwing us both.
You know what's crazy? We've not gotten an inch of snow.
We haven't gotten an inch yet either.
Like I'm just holding out because I hate snow with everything.
Were you guys supposed to get like the 12 to 18 inches like we were?
We were looking at upwards of 15 inches. I don't think that's happening now. All we have is ice. Like my car is completely covered in ice right now.
Yeah, no, we haven't had the
terrible.
Wait, I'm gonna refresh this real quick. It's 72 degrees here in Miami.
All right, that's gonna do it here. We can see you later, Soul. It was nice having you. We appreciate you. I'm just kidding. Thank you for being here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week, and may the force be with you always.
And